for today. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by that thing. Come on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by that thing. Subject for today. Today, we can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by that thing. Come on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by a hip and hurting on. We can be either loved by that thing. Always different, but it always feels the same. That's the real me, pop the champagne. The haters
shake my head. I'll give them stories to tell friends about the things I said. They tell me I'm so humble, I say I'm turning red. They let me lie to them and don't feel like they've been misled. They give so much to me, I'm losing touch, get me? Served on a silver platter, ask for seconds, they just let me. They tell me I'm a god, I'm lost in the facade. 6 feet off the ground, at all times I think I'm feeling odd. No matter what I make, they never see mistakes. Making so much bread, I don't care that they're just being fake. They tell me they're below me, I act like I'm above. The people blend together, but I would be lost without their love. Can you hear me? Have I gained too much? When you become untouchable, you're unable to touch. Is there a real need? Pop the champagne. It hurts me just to think, am I told to pain?
Staying still, eyes closed, let the world just pass me by. Pain pills, nice clothes. If I fall, I think I'll fly. Touch me, Midas, make me part of your design. None to guide us, I feel fear for the very last time. Lay still, restless, losing sleep while I lose my mind. All real, no stress, all my muses left behind. World is below, so high up, I'm fear to fly. Lean in, let go, I feel fear for the very last time.
Round one. Round two. Bonus round. Bonus two. Game over.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Let me just turn down the stream beats. So I've been switching it up, obviously, a lot lately. Trying to find something that is, I don't know, decent for the beginning of a stream. Nothing that we've been listening to for the duration of all of the live streams that we've been doing is something that you'll normally find me spinning on my own personal Spotify. But can't put on Led Zeppelin. Can't put on anything that is copyright protected. What's going on? How is everybody doing? I'm going to give everyone a second. Make sure that everything is set up properly. Has a sound. Sound should be good. We shouldn't have any more sound issues. You just pop the chat out. Cool. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It is Sunday morning in New York, and the wife is out horseback riding. So have a little bit of time, and I'm going to be going to a barbecue after this. So we'll get a little stream in, and yeah, that's that. Okay, just give everyone a minute. Electro Disco Circus. What's up? What's up, Rita? Time Hole. What's going on? Ripcord. Rita. John. Connected. Intro Moto. Time to take profits on. Is someone right away with a question? Sound is crystal clear. Charles, what's going on? All right, yeah. So this is just going to be kind of a bullshit stream. We're going to go over some charts. Really what I'm doing is just, I don't know, killing some time before I, like I said, go to a barbecue in a little bit. Like I said, the wife is out, and it leaves me with no obligations on this fine Sunday afternoon. It's actually not that nice out. So for anyone who's new, just joining the stream, my name is Ryan, also known as Cantor and Clark, and on behalf of myself and my partner, Josh Rager, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. And as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, on the top right-hand corner of the screen, we are partners with Phemex. So Phemex is a spot contract and yield generating exchange. So you can deposit, I think it's up to 50K in USDT and get anywhere from, I believe, 8 to 10%. It's flexible. They are the fastest cryptocurrency exchange right now in terms of their matching engine. They have a feeless spot program, as well. So I believe it's like $20 a month, and you don't have to pay any fees on your spot trading, which is awesome. They also just added some new pairs. So they finally added Aave, Sushi, right? GRT, Basic Attention Token, Mana, SNX, and they're going to be putting a lot more work into that in the near future in terms of adding all the pairs that you guys like to trade. So if you want to use that link on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, nothing really special about it. It gives you access to either reduced trading fees. This might be 10% off, or it might be a trading bonus. From time to time, it changes. Clearly, I don't keep up with it. All right. So that being said, yeah. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I hate going over all this shit in the beginning. And hit the like button. And then we'll get it started. And yeah, unfortunately, this is not a kid-friendly stream. So someone asked me on Twitter if this would be a kid-friendly stream. No, I don't suggest your kids watch YouTube streams on trading, period, honestly. I would hate for any of this to be misconstrued. As a reminder, all right, cannot go without saying, this is not financial advice. I'm not an advisor. I'm not here to guide your trading journey. I am strictly giving out my opinions. Now, I've been trading for a really long time now, but that doesn't mean anything. Right? These are my opinions only. If Josh does a stream, it's just his opinions. None of this is to be misconstrued as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And I try to keep it entertaining. And part of that involves me kind of speaking off the cuff. And yeah, a lot of that is probably not friendly for children's ears. Okay, so you can hear me great today. Good stuff. Content page for educational material on Blockroot. Yeah, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll pull that up really quick. Just give me one sec, guys. I'm gonna pull up the Blockroot page. I have a couple screens open right now, and it's easier if I just do this and pull this over here. A couple of you guys have asked me about Blockroot. So we're going to go to that site. All right, so this is Blockroot, primarily a order flow and market profile trading course. This is not a place where we're giving signals. This is not I mean, we do have a community. We have a Discord community where all of the members can interact and share ideas. And, you know, frequently myself and Josh will be in there sharing ideas, but by no means is a signal group at all. We're not sharing setups, nothing like that whatsoever. All of the work is done with Blockroot. We put this course together. This is going on a year now, the last update to the course. So it's a complete package already. So if you go to start learning, it's $49 a month, and you get access to the course and get access to the platform. If we just, I think if I don't know if I'm logged in. Oh, here we go. Cool. So here is the content that you get access to, right? So it's mostly just this. So you have the blockchain and crypto fundamentals course, but then you also have this entire section for market profile and order flow. So there's some basic stuff: introduction to markets, trading versus investing, primary versus secondary markets, you know, all the things. So the thing about this is, guys, this is not for someone who has no trading experience whatsoever. Like, this is not something that you're going to come to and learn how to trade. It's very specific with regards to order flow and market profile. We have the basics, though. Like I said, we have some of the basics, you know, building a trading system, risk management, win rate and expectancy. There are other sources, though, that you could get really comprehensive courses on those particulars. Like I said, we get comprehensive when it comes to market profile and order flow. So this is just the market profile section. So these are all the videos for market profile. And then if we back it up, go back to categories, we go to order flow, right? And then we go to profile and flow setup series. All right, and then we go to the supplementary material. All right. So this is building your foundation. How in-depth does it go into profile? There's nothing complicated about profile. If someone is selling you a course on profile and getting into all the little nitty-gritty things with, like, going over the top with date types and all that, not necessary. Profile is just a data organization tool. That's all it is. Showing you where, you know, what current context is. We in trending or balanced environment? Where is price being accepted? Where is it being rejected? There's no need to dress it up that much, but it does go, we do go in depth as much as you need to, right? So benefits, basics. So you get into theory, auction market theory, and then we get into, you know, what is developing value, trading environment, day type. We do get into day types, so we don't, like, you're never going to see me looking at the chart saying, oh, this is a normal variation day, as if it means anything. So we go into ranging environments. I'm just going to go through these. Intro to trends 1 and 2, creating composites, key contextual levels, anomalies, poor extremes part 2. Then I get into some of the more important market profile statistics, such as average subperiod range or rotation. Sometimes you'll see that set as rotation. That's similar to, you know, your ATR, right? But it's going to be a 30-minute period. Rotation factor is going to show you how much price is trying to either move upward or downward. It's a grading mechanism similar to, I would say it's kind of similar to the way that, I don't know the exact math for it, but how a Heiken Ashi candle work, how an RSI works. It's basically judging either the period of, you know, the rate of advance or the rate of decline or sideways movement in a particular profile. Ledges, mapping environments, base part 1. So it gets, you know, we get it as far as, like, profile. It's not, as far as profile goes, it's not something that's overly complicated. To be honest, like, if you're first coming into trading and you haven't learned enough about candlesticks and all the basics first, this is going to look really complicated. It's like, what the hell is this kind of Tetris looking structure? It's very simple, though, right? Where is price being accepted? All right. Has it been rejected prior? Okay. Where are the anomalies? Where are the ledges? Right. All this stuff is honestly very simple. And yeah, the course, I think, definitely will. I think the course is, if you have a base built, I think we have an incredible, I'll say we have an excellent course. I hate to talk about the course, guys. I honestly hate to like do self-promotion and shit like that. I only want people to come and take it if they want to learn about that, right? I'm not trying to sell someone who's like busy learning a different trading method on the fact that they should learn order flow and market profile. Once you take the course, if you're done, that's it. You know, you don't have to hang around. We don't want your subscription money, nothing like that. If people choose to stay in the community and want to retain access to this, fine. But by all means, you want to take the course for $49 the first month, take the whole thing, cancel it, go ahead. Like I hope you learn something, and I hope you are a better trader because of it. All right, so I gotta get finished with this shit because I hate self promotion. It just fucking makes me, I don't know. I don't enjoy doing it. All right. So how is everybody feeling about BTC right now? How is everybody feeling about BTC right now? Get a little bit of a feel. So still just within a range. I mean, if you ask me, it's still just within a range. And we have two ranges, I've said. We have what is a very obvious, I got to use the rectangle button because my circles and my ellipses or whatever I'm trying to draw, they look like amoebas, are crap. So I think you have two ranges that are more important as of recently that you're working within, right? You're working within one larger range, but you have two periods of bracketed environments within a much larger consolidation. Honestly, we're above the midpoint of the range. I would have trouble believing, like just to give my opinion really quickly, I would have trouble believing that if we were to make our way all the way back up to the high now, that we would turn around and continue to range. Now that we've had this rotation down to the low, took out this daily level, and sort of bullishly reclaim these levels, now that we've done that from a structural standpoint, we already are, like if you look at this entire period, there are trending periods within this period going back into February, but it's kind of all just one big consolidation, mushy, not very clean structure. Whereas, trending structures are a lot more obvious, right? So when you look at, going back to February, this is all just kind of one mashed potato of ranges. It has been doing this for a really long time. Like even if you go back to March, now we're over a month into this, including this February period. It's a little bit over, I would say it's a little bit under 2 months of really ranging behavior, filled in with some trends in between, but it has been stuck between, I would say, what is, relatively the same high and low area. So if we were to make our way back up to this high now, I don't think that we would continue. I can't see us getting rejected again and continue to come down and move sideways. Like if we're going to make our way all the way back up here. If this is going to continue, I think it can continue to range. If we were to come back down longer and then have something like that, in terms of just what is going to happen maybe in the next week or 2 weeks, if that means that we're moving upward right from here, I wouldn't anticipate this leading to this again. So just to get that out there, I think it would be unlikely for that to happen. So right now, if we're looking at the daily levels, so first of all, weekly level, we're still above that 20 period moving average, which is a really good area. But as I said before, you continue to move sideways, this will come and meet us. So this is still like if we come up to this 20 or come down. So I'll put this on the weekly so I could go down to the lower time frames. Let's say that this comes up to us, which it could if we just move sideways. Remember, it's just an average. If we interact with this, it's a buy. So I think the first interaction, like let's say that this continues to move upwards like this, and now prices, maybe it's still moving sideways. If we're against this, I'm just buying that. I think that's going to be supported by algorithmic activity or, as I've said before, systematic buying, because it is the first retest post break of the all-time high. So that's something to focus on. We've already come a considerable way back to it, but we have not interacted with it yet. So trend is still intact, still very strong. This weekly candle, obviously a very bullish weekly candle, almost engulfing the entirety of the last week's candle. But we have, what do we have left in this weekly candle? We have 8 hours, so anything can happen. But the weekly structure doesn't look bad. But again, I've mentioned this the last couple of streams now. We've been inside of prior months. So just another measure, right, of of how long the market's been consolidating. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekly periods of upward advance, and then for 1, 2 months, excuse me, not weekly, monthly, we have 1 month inside of that prior month. Again, going back to, this is February, a bracketed environment. So this is clear though. I mean, you see this. As far as the daily goes, right, we had a series of higher highs and higher lows on the daily, and that was lost here, that was lost here. So now we've reclaimed both of those. And now what we're looking at is, this looks like a retest of that daily level. So, and this is ultimately what you would want to see hold if you're bullish. This little block right here, I mean, you could see it on the way down, and then on the way up, it served as an important level. I'm going to slow my mouse down because my drawing I don't do well with the drawing whenever my mouse is moving too fast. So this daily level right here, this is where you would want to see buyers really step in and defend this level if we're going to continue this reversal, right? What looks like a reversal locally. So daily, weekly, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning bullish right now, but I want to see what you guys say. I'm leaning bullish. ETH is definitely leading the way, and I think that ETH can very well be dragging. ETH can drag BTC up. I think we've seen that before. The only thing that would make me bearish about BTC is if now we lose this structure, right? So let me put this on. Okay, so we have a key level above us. It's around 60 to 61. If we hold these highs right here, so this is a 3-day range that we broke down. We form another 2-day range down here. This composite acts as resistance. Now that we've made our way through, right? So remember I said if we were to move into this composite period, we'd be moving high to low. And then the last stream, or the second to last, we talked about if we lost this composite and reclaimed it, we'd expect to cover this level again. So if we're going to hold this previous composite high, so this value area high, which we're not really doing right now necessarily, you can see that it's kind of like this backside retest. So ultimately you would want to have seen that this composite, right, that this retest would have done its job and held. And if anything, a second day inside balance would have been good. But so far we haven't been able to hold this balanced area, so we break down. Having an underside retest of this level, it looks like sort of acceptance back within this prior value area of that composite. So now, if we were to, I think a good swing long would be, honestly, for myself, if we're able to reclaim this level and trade back within yesterday's range, right? So you could see we've been rejected from yesterday's range twice now. If we were able to trade back within yesterday's range, yesterday's value area low, so we're looking at right around 57.4 area, then it would look not only from an intraday standpoint to yesterday's point of control as maybe initial bounce area off that level, but I would look higher. I would expect that if we're able to trade back above within yesterday's value area, that you're probably looking at something like this, right? I mean, the way this structure broke down, so you had this trending day, right? Came through the point of control, so didn't even, I guess this was the first test around that area, but moved through that trending day's high volume node, and the next area you look for a bounce is one of the low volume areas. So it's kind of where price found support, but that all lines up either way around that previous daily level, right? So that daily level is at 55.929, and that goes back to the swing point, right? So again, support, flip, right? So that whole area is where that retest should hold. But as you can see, having a little bit of a breakdown above it. Not that it means too much. It's just the way I would want to define a the way I would like to see a swing is, honestly, I would be more bullish with something like this occurring either way, because if we're able to break from here, this looks like, you know, your sort of fake, not a fake out, but little trap, right? It looks like a breakdown. You have this clean structure. This should have been the retest, right? You're looking for this to occur. Instead, it breaks down. When reality is maybe it breaks down, captures some offsides positioning down there, and then acceptance back within yesterday's range is more or less acceptance back above this structure, period. So this previous structure as a whole. So if you're doing something like this, well, there's not much resistance within here, right? So you had two composite areas, strong day. This is an inefficiency, right? This is a gap down. This is an efficient move down. So if we were to look at this zoomed in, this is basically, let me go to a 30-minute chart. So this move down over here is efficient, right? On the way down, taking all liquidity, good amount of back and forth, whereas this is a gap. So this is like an air pocket, right? Not really much that took place there. So it is an area where after that occurs, you're looking at that single print area right here to act as resistance, right? If you get accepted back in this level, and you know, back here we were looking at this long, and either it was here or here that I actually got long, took it off for a scalp, but I was expecting this, right? Because anything accepted back within here is just, you look at areas like that as areas where price should accelerate. So now if we're going to come back within yesterday's range, right? So yesterday's low is here, yesterday's high, yesterday's value area low, value area high. If we're able to even trade back within yesterday's range, and after having these two rejections, able to do that, I expect this to throw up much higher. And that, again, just brings us back within this gap, which has not been, we have not explored the entirety of that gap yet. So I honestly, the way this is looking right now, it looks like you have a good amount of chop down here. There's some people, enough people that are behind this are saying that this is an inverse head and shoulders, right? So this retest area in general, you have a bunch of different reasons why people would be buying this level. So I think it looks good. I think it looks good. You don't want to see it start to lose any of this trending day though. So you don't want to see that you gain acceptance back within this fast moving area, right? So this is it's not an inefficient move, so there should be some bouncing on the way down. But if anything, if this is a new trend, right? If you took this low and this is your higher high, higher low, higher high, you don't want to start falling back within the previous composites, right? Or previous ranges. Otherwise, you're probably going to come back and visit this low. And then at that point, you know, that is your higher low. That is kind of the local trend change. You're kind of anchoring it around that period. So I wouldn't like to see us come down here, even though it could mean we just take that liquidity. It's not something you want to see, right? You want to see that if a structure like this, if this is going to resolve bullishly, the minute we start trading back down towards these lows, it opens up the idea that we're, I mean, in my mind, it makes me think we'll range longer at that point. Whereas this, if we do break up from here, again, I think that this is unlikely, although it'll probably find resistance here. I think it's unlikely that if we're breaking above 61, that it's like going to be a fourth tap of this high. Not fourth, but I don't think that this would, I don't see this occurring, something like this. And then at that point, it's how many tests are we going to have? Let me just see the chat real quick. So my levels for a swing position are, I'd say 57. 57.5 is probably a little bit more conservative. And that puts you back within yesterday's value area. And then from an intraday basis, you would normally see that if you gain acceptance back within this range, so this is a very balanced day, that you'll probably cover it from low to high, right? So we'll probably move up to the point of control. So that's a quick opportunity from 57.5 up to 57, right around 57.9. I mean, all we're looking at is, get rid of these, this value area, American Express Platinum card. Does anyone want one? Okay, there we go. So for some reason, I can't get rid of that my history, which is my bill pay from my American Express card. So I don't think there's any numbers there though. Oh, why does that keep happening? So I wish there were some drawing tools on this I could use, but normally what you'd be looking at is if after this. So the good thing about this structure, I think there is something within this structure that I think does give you maybe an earlier entry, and it's this ledge right here. So this is a structural anomaly, right? This is kind of a smooth profile, not that smooth, right? There's kind of a ledge on that one too. Why is this profile so chunky and weird? All right, but this ledge right here is back, does line up nicely with yesterday's range, right? So yesterday's low, high. Now this is the value area low, this is the value area high. And while I was saying that, so I guess I could look for entries in both areas, but a swing would look maybe something like being able to reclaim. I think overall, let me just rephrase this properly because it's going to sound funny. I think overall, this structure in its entirety from where it's coming, something like this that breaks down and then reclaims looks good for a move higher, right? I think locally that a trade above 57.1, this ledge, so we're down here right now. So if we put the candles on, it'll be a little bit easier. So we're down here. So you see that we're rejecting at this ledge. So that's why we have that ledge. There's a little gap. Ledge. If we're able to trade back above this ledge, right, after 1, 2 rejections, I think that you're probably I think you probably end up re-accepting into yesterday's range value area as a whole. So maybe it sets up a longer move up to that point of control, which is from a volume standpoint around 58. So just to go into the candlestick chart real quick, that looks like a move back above here, right? So if price is able to reclaim, where you see all of this pivot taking place, by the way, so if this was your rejection and this took out these highs, price has no reason to be back up here, right? It has no business to, and here's your ledge. So you see all the interaction in this area. This looks like it's a grab of liquidity. If price is now able to claim this level again, there's no reason why we should be able to go back up to this level. Meaning, excuse me, there's no reason why I expect that this level would do that again. I don't think that you would get something like this. So what I'm saying is I think that if you accept above this ledge, you're coming up to 58, which kind of sets you up to take out the high of the day today either way. So these highs up here. So yeah, one sec. Now there's not really, I'm not really concerned about absorption up here. It doesn't look like we have, I mean, there's a little bit of, the one thing that I am seeing, it looks like they're selling on future dated contracts, in futures, excuse me. But the further outdated contracts, it doesn't look like there's any kind of buying absorption on perps. So if we're looking at something like the CVD, for example, and we'll just smooth this down individually to something like BitMEX and Bybit. It's not really, I mean, maybe slight absorption on BitMEX. If you were to look at, yeah, actually over here. But I'm not going to think that, so you have this series of lower highs and lower lows locally, right? And if you look at BitMEX's CVD, it's kind of like the general trend of this area is moving up to the right instead of down, whereas price action is doing the opposite. So this is lower time frame absorption. I wouldn't really extend too much from this and think that, again, that this is worrisome on the higher time frame. And on the same note, what I mean is this might be good for this might have been already good for a short-term trade, right? If you saw that price was making, was making lower highs, but for example, BitMEX was busy making higher highs. That trade might already be off the table, right? The rollover already right here from 57,730 all the way down to 56.3 area. So you had $1,000 move already. Not sure exactly that. I mean, there wasn't a massive increase in open interest. It's like what is that? It went from 9.49 billion to 9.57, 9.59. The one thing also to point out though too is funding actually has been going up, and I'm not really that worried about this either. So just to be clear, funding, what we look for at bottoms, and I don't know, I get more bullish when I see it in this condition period is for funding to be low, right? So funding's always going to tick up in a bull market either way because people just want to be long. But I am less concerned about this little tick up that we've had because open interest was cut down considerably. So if it was the case where we have like a lower high, right, but open interest is still jacked up and we haven't broken the high yet, right, it's still lower high still and open interest is getting jacked up, then I'd be concerned if funding was really beginning to tick up. But another thing to point out, and I don't think that this is something you could just write off, is that for this entire period, so specifically from, I think it was pre-breakdown, so right around here all the way up until as of yesterday maybe, because it's a weekend, right? I think weekends are just, they're just light, right? They're lighter. It's not like they're tremendously light. They're not tremendously liquid, but there's less of a spot presence. For that entire period, Coinbase was trading at a premium, and now you can see Coinbase right here, Bybit trading at a slight premium to Coinbase. So Coinbase is trading at a slight discount to futures exchanges. Spot exchanges are trading at a slight discount to futures exchanges, period. Whereas for the duration of this entire move, it looked like someone was just aggressively getting involved on Coinbase. There was a pretty obvious premium between Coinbase and every other exchange. So that, that typically, that kind of big spot buyer, and that was also, I think, substantiated by on-chain data, but I don't really think I can't really find a way to use on-chain data for how I really trade other than it allows me to remain confident in my long-term spot holdings. When I see things like, supply coming off exchanges and, addresses picking up. But other than that, I can't really apply it to my lower time frame trading. But when I see consistent spot premium, significant move off the lows, it does make me wonder, right? So I don't think that it's a big deal that funding has kind of ticked up for BTC. And again, if we go to ETH is leading the way now. And before ETH made a new high, so even before ETH made a new high, it was lower in, one sec. So just look at this. This is reason to be bullish still. So ETH, strong spot CVD up. That's another thing. ETH is, I won't get into it yet. But anyway, so lower highs, higher highs, right? But we're still below the highest level in open interest, which goes all the way back to February. So the fact that we're making new highs, okay, and open interest is not, what this says to me is that a lot of this is probably fueled by a good spot bid all the way up, right? So this is not fueled, this move up is not fueled by derivative traders getting off sides. I don't think so. Certainly not as much as previously, right? We were able to put in this high, but on a lower high in open interest. So what this says to me is that there's more left on the table for ETH, right? Does that make sense? You don't see the same kind of participation you had at previous highs in ETH. And funding is, this is really bullish. Funding for ETH is still like ridiculously low compared to previous highs. So one thing that I'm thinking is, and take this as you want, but there might be a good amount of people hedging up here, right? but hedging their exposure with you know, a one times leverage short. So you're not getting like a bunch of people piling in long. You're not getting a bunch of people piling in short with, you know, tremendous amount of leverage. You might just have people that are hedging their exposure because this looks like, you know, it looks kind of, this is a strong trend, but it's, again, it's a new level that it's explored. It's at 3K almost. You know, oh, I'm going to try to protect my portfolio one time short. But you don't really see much of an increase in open interest. The funding, it could be flat because of that, right? You have a good amount of selling, but it's nothing crazy in terms of notional values or for what the positions are opened at. So people could just be being conservative up here and getting, you know, sidelined essentially, which means that if price continues to grind up and they cover, this just overthrows a lot, right? And I rolled my calls from May 14th into June. So I rolled from, I think it was, I was either 3 or 32K strike, 3,200 strike to, I think I'm at 35.2 now. So I'm really optimistic on ETH. I think a lot of people are going to be blown away for how far ETH goes up. You know, ETH has still been kind of hanging around the previous all-time high. I mean, this is not the kind of extension that Bitcoin put in. And I don't see why ETH wouldn't have more of a follow-through than this. It's a higher beta play than BTC. And it's only up 100% from its all-time high. Right? So, did I just get rid of a chart by accident? So ETH looks really good. You know, the thing about ETH is, and the thing about these charts in general is, if you look at this on a higher time frame chart, it's gonna give you the impression that it's frail looking, right? Because it's just really grinding its way up. I mean, it's definitely left behind what was any semblance of a base. Like, this is a tiny base, this is a wider base. So that is, you know, that is worrisome a lot of the times. But the thing about this is, if there's someone that's aggressively just getting involved in every dip, it could continue to just move up in the same fashion all the way, right? And I shared a Uniswap chart, and I was like, are these going to start trading like indices, right? Where they look like they're constantly going to break out, but they don't, and then they just continue to grind all the way up. And there's someone who's just, you know, TWAPing this because these prices are ridiculously low, and we're just unaware of that. And they're just buying up any chance they can, but not getting overly aggressive, right? So, yeah. I mean, I am, oh my God, I took the prices off the fucking chart. I didn't see this. Yeah, I'm turbo long Ray, so. And my, when I am speaking hyperbolically, turbo is my go-to word. But I'm not speaking hyperbolically, actually, because I am actually very long Ray. But the thing about Ray is I was in and out of Ray since the beginning and then just gave up on it because I was thinking, and I'm very public about this, I was thinking Ray was coming down, right? And it was all a matter of timing. But again, ETH wasn't, you know, storming the gates at that point. So now that ETH is doing incredibly well, the whole Solana ecosystem is kind of ripping. There's no reason for this to not move up. It's a correlation play. It's a play on anything related to SAM. It's a play on the whole market right now having a pretty decent bid. So and the structure is as clear as day. So something like this, I just can't sit on the sidelines when I see that you have what looks like, you know, a pretty defined range, right? And price putting in a clean retest of that. Now, mind you, I got in before this retest, right? I was in pretty aggressively on the break, but that is like, you know, how I play this, how someone else should play it might not be the same, you know, the same way. I tend to be a little bit more aggressive when I feel like I have a finger on the pulse. And I feel like I'm a high conviction about something. I don't necessarily wait for the perfect retest because you might not get it. Right, you might not get the perfect pullback until you're another 50% up. So, and then it makes you really wonder if you should be buying up there. So, Ray I think is about to play catch up with Solana and SRM, with Sol and SRM rather. And SRM doing the same thing, right? You have a pretty clean structure. And the good thing about this is you took from both sides almost, right? Well, this didn't necessarily take from it, but you have daily high, daily low, ranging price behavior, period of trending behavior, and then a bunch of overlap. So you have the lows taken, a high fake out. After you have something like this, I've said this before, if you have a structure that ranges, right, and whether you take the high first or you take the low first, if you've done something like that, after that, if price picks a direction, right, if you're back at this low or if you're back up at this high, I don't fade that move because you've taken both sides at that point. You've faked out both sides, fallen back within the range, and then it's unlikely that you move back to one of those major rejection areas, major pivots, only to be rejected again. So, and this looks a lot more clear than, and I get worried too that I look at Uni's chart. I remember what comp did too. So if we go to comp, it's kind of the same story as Uni, but I think it's a lot more impulsive. And comp finally began to take off, but comp was constantly these breakout. They looked like breakouts, right? That's too early, but this looked like it was going to be a breakout. This looked like it was going to be a breakout. This looked like it was going to be a breakout. There's a lot more messiness in these retests, right? So a lot more overlap just in this general area, the wickiness that you have. SRM is looking very clean, right? So pivot, right? So V's against V's, right? The points of those against each other. And that's just my drawing, but I think you get the point that this is the high, clean rejection. And now once above, this looks like it's not nearly as messy as Uni and something like comp. So what I'm saying is I'm more confident in leaning on this being the significant change in market structure that's going to lead to continuation. I'm not too worried about this chopping back and falling back within this range or anything like that. The price action here looks respectful. So sushi, actually, I wanted to go over this one. And then I'll look over at the comments, guys. I think this might be on this list. Yeah, it is. Did I miss anything? I'm just kind of winging the stream. I don't know if you could tell that or not. Let me put this back on my other screen. Sushi is... Yeah, like I don't know enough about the projects from a developer standpoint or anything, right? I'm not even going to throw that out there like as if I have any understanding of developing or being a developer. What took place between Sushi and Uni. Sushi, the same thing though, the entire way up, like just a bunch of failed breakouts. The one thing about this that I like is that the low is a lot cleaner, right? So if we look at this on the weekly chart, so I'm just going to make this chart naked again. Initially on the weekly, this is a bunch of overlap right here, right? So weekly overlap. Go out into the daily. This whole area right here, these daily lows, you can see that if I was to say like where is the area that market is respecting on an open and closing basis more than anything else? It's this area down here, right? Even this little flip it looks like we have over there. And you could draw this line from, you might say, well, that's not good because you should draw it from exactly that daily close right there. Fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. The lows are in general in the same area. Excuse me, the lows are in the same general area. It's not even general, it's pretty tight, right? So now that we've had this breakdown and you don't have continuation, you instead have this under over. So by under over, I mean you have a series of lower lows, lower highs, and now after all that progression downward and that retest of that area, price rips back up and now is treating this area as support. It's looking a lot more bullish than it has in recent history, but it's still coming into this area. Still coming into this daily level, right? rubbing against that prior weekly range. So that being said, if we end up doing something like this, I would anticipate that we're going all the way back up to the highs. So this is the make or break area though, right? This is the area that we're having trouble with right now. So I'm neutral on this, but I can get very bullish on sushi if we're breaking above that 15 level again. Because then it just looks like this was your range. And again, the concept I just went over. If you're looking at this overall, and you're just encapsulating where most of the activity occurred, here is the biggest fake out we had, led to a move all the way back down. Here is a break through that range. So what you've done, so through the lows, through the highs. Now if you're back within here, what this just looks like is, you know, the breakdown that captures a bunch of offside participants. This is all occurring in a, you know, bull market. Which way is this likely going to fake out and lead to? It's probably going to, you're probably going to see more fake outs to the downside that lead to breaks upward, excuse me. So just my 2 cents on sushi. I don't hold any more sushi though, so now I'm going to go through the chat really quickly. All right, restaurants open in NYC July 1st or June 1st, de Blasio said. I'm not sure. They're open right now, but they'll open full capacity. Okay. Let's see. BTC dominance chart, please, Ryan. I don't really care too much for the BTC dominant chart. I'll put it up, but the more alts you introduce into the system, the more you could just throw that chart off, right? It's not that, like when people do TA on the dominance chart, it just tells me that they're missing something. Okey-doke. BTC, I feel ETH is more important. Yeah, I rebalanced a good portion of my portfolio into ETH. And for a second, I was thinking of taking it back. So Joshua, I'm not worried about 30K again, but that's all path dependent. Like if we start losing lows again, then yeah, I could see that. But right now, there's no reason for, like, there's only a certain amount of space that I have in my head to entertain things at the same time. And if we're far away from levels, I'm not going to keep them at the front of my head. So with Ray, I think we're going over 20. I could just, I'm looking for, it's not a whole lot of sophistication with this. It's just the amount of momentum in the market. Okay, the amount of momentum and hype around Solana or anything related to it. Okay, anything related to Sam. The correlation between these coins, and then just the obvious big round numbers. Oh yeah, Chris with the beard. That makes sense. Yeah, I have a whole folder of like tax stuff and bill stuff. That's probably what it is. Okay. So I can't go through Quant Tower right now. I'll pull it up, but no, I have access to an exchange for the calls through excuse me, I said that backwards. I trade on Deribit. And I won't say how. I don't even know if I should have said that. You can't get in trouble for it. I can't get in trouble for it, but it is what it is. All right, hold on. Recommended book on price action. I'm not your, I don't know any good book on price action. Someone else probably does. My recommendation with price action is just watch the charts for hours and hours on end. Map your levels, watch the interactions at those levels. I know there's probably a go-to book that a lot of price action traders have, but I just can't recall it right now. Shroom, I sold a good amount of my Shroom. I'll get back in Shroom if certain things get met, but I don't like to just like, I don't really marry anything. It's hard for me to marry things. So I could hold for a period of time and give projects, benefit of the doubt and give price time to respond. But then if something is not moving the way I want it to, I know that sounds kind of silly. It's just an opportunity cost for me to keep money locked up in something right now. FBI open up. Okay, so we'll open up Quant Tower really quickly just to show. I can't trade on Quant Tower right now because the API is not working. Yeah. I can't say how I trade on Deribit. That's right. But if you just do a search of Deribit and some CT accounts lately, you could probably see how to get an account. But that's not my business though to get into. All right. So the thing about Quant Tower is the API. So we'll go through info instead of trading because the trading API doesn't work. So for Quant Tower, I'm trading on Quant Tower. I'm connected to. I was connected to Binance. I was connected to Binance. I'm no longer connected to Binance. I'm still connected to FTX and Bybit. But the Bybit API is where I do most of my size trading for BTC. But the Bybit API is not working right now, so it's a pain in the ass. But it's really easy to trade through this platform. Hold on one sec. Let me just get the tool to make sure you guys can see everything. Yes, you can. Not the tool, but all right. It's really easy to trade through this. You just connect it through API. All of this is my custom setup. So this is not it right now, but I'll pull up Clark 3 Dark. It's a great trading platform if the connection is working, right? I mean, let me just load. I'll load the volume bars. See, right now it's giving a little bit of trouble. Very simple stuff though. I could do click trading, so we could use. Oh, it's not on trading right now, so I can't use that. Fuck. Sorry, guys. Yeah. They need to fix their API because otherwise I can't show you how to do this. But all the trading can be done either through clicking, can be done right through. Each chart has its own order entry form, right? It's a phenomenal platform, but it makes no sense for me to actually go over it unless it's working. But yeah, they've been having API issues lately. How many different exchange accounts do you have approximately? I don't know. I've had a ton. I don't feel like I need to go over this stuff on YouTube. Who knows if I'm talking to a fucking hacker or something. I have a lot of exchange accounts, put it that way. Ooh, FTT. Oh, all right, so if you guys want me to take a look at any charts, let me just go through. FTT is something that I am, overweight in as well. So very clean structure with FTT, and with this, the same as BTC. I don't anticipate. I kind of think you're just doing this again, something like that, right? Clean structure, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then you have this under over right here. FTT, BNB. I think that these are going to continue just grinding up for a while. I'm very overweight at BNB as of, it's either yesterday or the day before. I just, what did I do? I just marketed in a bunch, honestly. I was like, all right, the trend looks really strong. I don't know if it's going to have much more of a pullback. I could be picky and choosy and try to get filled with a limit, or I could just bite the bullet, market buy this position. And, I think it's going to over 1,000 either way, so. Yeah, I am down with FTT. CRV, yeah, I think that's on my DeFi chart. There we go. Just put this on the other screen. CRV. This was one that has fooled me a couple times too, where it's kind of like the uni chart. I mean, you're looking at a weekly resistance level that's been more or less the same, right? This whole area around 4, up to 5 at one point. It's between 3 to 4 rather, most of it. That's been what's been rejecting us. If you look at the daily structure, it's a lot cleaner. But we've been within a range, right? Now you've taken the highs. Does this need to come and take the lows before it does one of these, take the highs, take the lows before resuming upward? I don't necessarily think so. I think curve is going to be something that continues to go up, but it's kind of just moving the same way that uni is, right? It could continue to just grind and look like it always looks like it's approaching the level of a breakout, but maybe it just chops its way up. So, I mean, honestly, for this, you have what is a pretty obvious range, right? But it looks like the bulls are a bit more active within the range than bears, right? If this is, for example, a strong move off of this low, right? Grind up. If you're rejected right here above this high, you shouldn't be able to return back up to it. So I think this area right here is telling us kind of all we need to know, right? If this was, and this is a bull market, so if the market was falling over now and it was a bear market, then this high grab would probably lead to a move down. But you didn't even get to as far as these lows down here, right? This low, these buyers showed up a lot sooner. So still, again, though, banging against that weekly level. Again, if I just go to the weekly, back at this block. So there's not a lot of price action at all. So whenever you have a very limited history, what you'll see is that what did occur in the beginning. So this is a weekly level back here, but this is a weekly low, and this will probably act as resistance up here. What did occur at the beginning of the chart will probably be an area that you'll have trouble with in the future when you come back to it. So what that means is, yeah, this 573 and 6 area might act as temporary resistance, but I think you're seeing that you're doing most of the battle within that weekly cluster going back to September. So now that we've had this take of these highs and prices being bid up a lot sooner, didn't come all the way back down to these lows, I think this just ends up being something that grinds a little bit further before leading to a more obvious sustained trend upward. But I don't see any reason why this should change course now. It looks like it's something you want to just set and forget. I mean, just from my personal experience, like I've so many times like kept up with certain charts that looked like this, and I've done things where I've said like, oh, I want to get involved. Like this looks great, but I'll get involved when it's above here. I'll set a alert, and I'll store this chart, and price might be down here, anywhere. It might be holding some type of, not anywhere, but there might be some obvious definition to the structure. I could see, oh, it's a range. Yeah, it's also what looks to be respecting a series of higher lows, and I'll place an alert higher, and I'll say like, oh, I'll get back to that. And then all of them end up resolving this way anyway, right? So it's almost like it would be easier for me to just say, oh, structure looks like this and it's a bull market. This is just late, right? This is just, it's probably going to catch up. And if that's especially the case if things are starting to move up again and still moving up. If things were really rolling over hard, then maybe I'd be a little bit more suspect about buying early. But just in my experience, if it has a bullish structure in the beginning and towards the middle, it's probably going to lead to a bullish breakout towards the end. Can't access Blockroot's website, so www.blockroots.com works for me. Make sure you type in www. Yeah, there is a lot of noise. What else we have? So Rune is another chart too that I think a lot of these charts, what you're doing is realizing they're just grinding up. There is this kind of secular trend up, right? And you end up, you don't get big pullbacks, it seems, multiple big pullbacks. You get maybe one or two, but you ultimately are better off, it might not be a bad thing to buy higher. So for example, I'm not in Rune right now, but Rune had this pretty clean range, breakdown, no continuation, acceptance back within, going back up towards the highs. I think that this is probably going to break upwards, right? So a lot of these charts are looking like this right now. This FTT, kind of like back at the highs after major rejection. Price is doing no trouble to get back up there, has no trouble getting back up there. With a lot of these charts, I'm willing to buy higher. So let's say, I'm bullish on, you can be bullish on Rune, right? Not want to get involved here, but get involved on a breakout, knowing that you might not get much more of a pullback, because look what they're doing the entire way up. It's kind of like it's just moving, it's moving up like this the entire way, rather than, this kind of structure that has a really strong sort of parabolic trend, then has a really tight range for a long time, and then has a really strong parabolic trend. Some of these look like they're just chopping upwards. Do you use fib retracements to kind of peg a sale target? Fib extensions then, do you mean? No, I don't really use fib extensions. The only way that I use a fib retracement is for like pullbacks and things like that. I was paying attention to the fib retracement for this. Just for example, I'll go to a clean BTC chart. Because after this high to low, you expect that even if you have a top, that you're going to retest that 0.5 level. And I said that a couple times. I said, hey, if you're panicking down here and you're stuck in a long, like, I wouldn't worry that much, because odds are at this level of a pullback, the mean reversion trade is going to be near. And even if it's a high that's put in forever, right, it's very unlikely that you're not going to throw back to about the 50% point between the high and the low. Right? Let's say you start putting in a low and you see prices begin to move up. You look to these, 0.5, 382, and 618 levels to see some level of kickback. So what I was saying was, and I said this back during this one too, was I wouldn't panic. Let's say you think this is at the top. I said specifically, I think, and again, this is not financial advice, so maybe I shouldn't have said it this way, was if you're in this right now, don't panic. I would set TPs around the 0.5 fib. Now, something like this also, though, once we start, from high to break down low, once we reclaim the 0.5 level, and it's kind of mid-range of this entire move, I have a more bullish bias. You'll see the 618 is going to act as resistance, but if you extend this going back and you see, oh, this is the daily level back here that, we were looking at to maintaining and not losing, and now we're above that too. Once you're back above the 50 point of that breakdown, it's less likely that it's a dead cat bounce than it's a recovery. So like a structure with this BTC right now, I should point out, this B structure, this is actually good for a base to build before a move up. You have a trending day, you have a balance period. Yeah, it's not two balance periods after each other, but this type of B, if we're back above, again, within yesterday's range, and we're trading back above this ledge, the activity in this B, you can see there's a lot of selling down here, right? It's a good amount of negative delta down there. That B, a lot of times we say base, right? B for base, is usually good for a bottom if you start trading above where most of the activity came in. So most of the activity is right down here. So remember I said around 57.5, but the truth is this ledge and yesterday's daily low kind of line up nicely. So if you had a trending day, consolidated, this area is a daily level too, going back to the left. You built a B type profile there, so all this volume is down here. If you're now trading back above there's a good case to be made for this again. Good amount of activity or traders trapped in here that help this move squeeze further upward. So there's a good profile to see a bottom get built on. But again, it's all a matter of where we're trading. Are we trading above it or are we trading below it, where the bulk of the activity occurred? What else? Let me just see. Matic. I said $1 with Matic, and it looks like we hit 95 cents. Probably not done yet, though. But I'm no longer in Matic. Like, I'll have a target, but a lot of times I won't. I kind of pull off alts pretty early. I have a tendency to. Unless I really read into the fundamentals, it's hard for me to really hang on to a position. Did I miss? I wanted to cover a couple things, and I think I... So yeah, as I said with ETH, it's one of those charts that doesn't leave you with a lot of confidence looking at it because of how it's built up here, right? But this is how the trend can just continue from here, especially when we see that the open interest is pretty low still. I'm not really excited about Link anymore. I think it's kind of shot its shot, and that's it. I mean, Link, I don't really use RSI, but Link looks like it has a loss of momentum. And if you pull an RSI open, as I said, I mean, you'll see it there too. It's clear in price action that it looks like it's had a loss of momentum. I mean, just the weekly chart. Let's bust out the RSI. Right, just a trending down. Daily. Yeah. I mean, with Link, as far as levels go, here's your previous range, right, between 24 and 34 area. Kind of an obvious higher time frame structure, sort of flag. So this move is a little worrisome because you would want to see continuation if this was still as strong as it was in previous areas within this trend where it got really impulsive and had some legs. So a bit of a deep pullback, right? A lot of violation. Didn't come all the way through the range again. That's fine. Back above, so that's bullish, but it just looks like it doesn't have as much steam in it. Dogecoin breaking out, is it? Wow. Well, that's, I don't know. You know, Doge is, I want to say, you know, the same concept as I said many times before, you know, if this rejection is anything to take seriously, why would you be back up here? It probably would lead to continuation. But with this kind of pair, it's in a league of its own, I think, Doge. So, I mean, you've seen this before where it rejected, came all the way back up. It looked like it was going to lead to a bigger move and then continue to move sideways for a long time. Doge could be in a completely different league now because it's captured the hearts and minds of people that are outside of... I would say that there are people that are in Doge that are not in BTC or any other crypto. So this one, I can't really... I don't know. I can't get a handle on it. I wouldn't be surprised if Doge just changed forever now. And now it's going to go up with the majors and it's the biggest meme, but there's retail right now. So, and I've heard, you know, a lot of Doge is lost and the supply that you see is not necessarily the amount of supply that's available, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are confident that Doge is going to $1. But let me see something about Doge. Let me see, excuse me. Doge's funding right now is also pretty low. So OI change for price change of 5% probably has gone down a little bit. Open interest double, but I think today's move was, it might be now at 5%, but oh no, that's, never mind. Yesterday's entire move from high to low, open to close. Oh no, so wait a second. What's today's range? 9%. Today's open to, that makes sense. But funding is kind of low, so I don't know. I think for as many people as there were long previously with Doge, I think there are still a lot of people that are intent on shorting this, which could just help this continue to move up, right? Luna, and then SNX, and then I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Nice flag. Not the strongest looking flag because of this roll, but a little under over right here. So, one sec. I mean, it's not the most attractive one, but this little range breakdown, and then now retesting. So maybe a move back up to the highs at 21, but on the higher time frame, this looks like a flag, right? And I don't think that something would top looking like this. Kind of looks as messy as this move down here. I mean, there's a lot of people that are bullish on Luna in the long term, so I think if the market is more informed than it is now, than it was in the previous cycle, this is just a consolidation after a really strong trend that probably leads to a continuation. Yes, Cardano is, I don't know, I don't want to go into it, but I think Cardano's kind of, I won't say it, I don't know, I never mind. I don't want to hurt anyone's bags, but I don't know, I'm not bullish on Cardano. But I don't know a whole lot about it, so screw what I have to say. Series of lower lows, lower highs, yeah. Right now trading back within a prior level though, right? This doesn't look bad. It doesn't look that good. It's kind of messy. Doing the same thing it did back here though. So progress would be similar to progress the last time. Closing back above a previous weekly swing low. So right here. So if we could close this weekly out like that, you know, that's how progress began over here. Just how things begin to shift. So close above this weekly level. You know, you have 7 hours left in that. But SNX looks like it's kind of lost steam, and I sold a good amount of my SNX. Good amount, all of my SNX, excuse me. Just doesn't look that attractive right now. If you had something like this, so you're back above the weekly and then you're breaking out of what is this sideways, you know, this progress downward rather, whether you're connecting it based on, you know, the wick or based on candle bodies, you get the idea, that same general area that where change was obvious. Right, which puts you almost back above this little consolidation right here. So anything that's starting to find support in this level signals a shift in what has been the progress down, and now you're back above that weekly level. But all right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. We've been going now for a little while. Got a barbecue to go to today. Just wanted to kind of shoot the shit and go over some go over some charts. Just to wrap it up really quickly with BTC. I don't see any reason why, if Bitcoin is making a move back up to this high, that we would range much longer. This is the area where you would expect a retest. This was the significant low that we lost on the way up, right? A little consolidation here, breakdown, consolidation, and looks like the beginnings of a trend locally. And from our previous composites, highs, lows, trend down, highs, lows, just looking at these composites, you can see that this composite low served to act as resistance. We gap through, and now we're just testing the high of this previous composite, which again is right around that daily level. So this is a good area, I think, to look for longs. And if I get something that looks like this, then not only will I look for scalps from here to 58, but I would just anticipate that as long as this maintains this level, that it's going to lead to a move up to here. All right, guys. Until next time, that does it. Everyone have a fantastic Sunday.